make sure, whether you're a student or patron, that you have registered with the registration form. So student and patrons, please both register your names with the registration form that was with the admin team right at the back. To start us off with a couple of words and a charge, I'm going to call on Mrs. Maiti Ramkono Eshuro, who is the CEO of the Fortune Foundation.
Whether it's a young person like yourselves or an adult like me, we all need to have a healthy understanding of financial management matters.
And this next speaker is one of the biggest regulators within the financial services sector.
Overall, the Reserve Bank is also what we call the superintendent of banking institutions in Zimbabwe.
What we'll do next is I'll call on the senior monitoring and evaluation officer from NANGO.
The TSP, like she correctly said, is the Transitional Stabilisation Program. It's a plan by the government to solve the challenges that we are currently facing as a country.
In her current portfolio at Cassava Smartech, she is in charge of the corporate business within Zimbabwe, Lesotho, and Burundi. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Ms. Sophia Myers.
So my message to you today is that we need to remain digitally relevant.
So hopefully you've been listening, and without wasting any more time, I'm going to call on our quiz master for the day, Ms. Rebecca Magosongwe.
Question number 1. What does the TSP abbreviation stand for? Okay, please may everyone put their pens down, and please may I ask the facilitators to come and collect the papers.
We're going to have a guest interview. And so what we're going to have is, we always, as the GFPS, we always try to get you to interact with the leaders in the areas of discussion that we have at this point in time. And our guest interviewee for this afternoon is Mr. Trust Mamombe. And I'll read a little bit about his profile, and then I'll call on them and the moderator to come through. So Mr. Trust Mamombe is the director for Southern Africa at the Institute for Economic and Peace, the IEP, and this is the creator of the Global Peace Index and is the foremost global think tank on peace metrics. Mr. Mamombe is a PhD candidate in applied social sciences with the University of Zimbabwe and holds a master's in policy studies and has vast experience in policy dialogue processes. He is the founding director of the National Peace Trust, whose broad goals are to guide national development at all levels in a peace context and the consolidation of infrastructure for durable peace in Zimbabwe. He is also a member of the Africa Insider Mediators Platform, which is a collaborative initiative of practicing mediators from within civil society who come together to build a platform for learning, experience sharing, and strengthening the mediation and contributions of insider mediators active within a wide range of conflict contexts at multiple levels across the African continent. Footed on his understanding of mainstreaming peace in development contexts, his core task is to work on projects to determine and undertake initiatives for the pillars of peace in Southern Africa. The pillars of peace represent a holistic assessment of what makes and keeps a society peaceful, which is better known as positive peace, and he's also lectured at the Africa University. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Mr. Trust Mamombe and the Executive Director of the Global Foundation of Public Speaking, Mr. Thando Khumalo.
I always want to connect all the students we're working with decision makers, people who run or are part of international and national or regional organizations, because many of you are junior parliamentarians, junior councillors, you're heads of your school. So it's always interesting that after this, you should have organizations that you can then reach out to, whether it's for whatever you're trying to do in your spheres for your constituents and for benefit. And Mr. Mamombe, I think today there's been a lot of financial literacy, there's been a lot of TSP talk. Should the students care about financial literacy and inclusion? Because, I mean, they don't earn. They won't earn for a while. I mean, should they care?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for being here. Good to see you all. Very, very important question. Should you care? Does it matter? I was just listening a few minutes ago when I hopped in. You guys were being asked how much is being put in the Ministry of Education, and I think the response is what, 50 billion or so dollars? And the question is, so what?
Yeah.
Does that matter? Really, the issue of financial inclusion is very broad. It's not about you memorizing and knowing all details about the roads that are going to be built, about money that is going to be in schools and so forth. Financial inclusion begins at a very individual level. And I'm glad I'm speaking to you guys as young people. This is how these things work. Wherever there is a need, money is needed. Wherever there is a need, spending must be done. Now, you guys all know Mark Zuckerberg because of Facebook. You all know Bill Gates because of Microsoft. It's not about, oh, what Microsoft think can I think? It's about, this is Zimbabwe. At this local level, what is needed the most? So if you go through a document like TSP, it talks about devolution. It talks about, am I being heard? It's clear? Okay. It talks about devolution, it talks about agriculture, it talks about all sorts of things. Education, infrastructure development. In other words, it talks about needs. And what the government of Zimbabwe, which is the biggest spender in the country, like any other government, where it's going to put its money. So here you are from Morewa, here you are from Mbale, here you are from Highfield. Money is going to come in that direction. What can you do? But the spin of it is, what needs to be done in my community? Because money gravitates to big ideas. Right. So that's the first step in terms of you guys as leaders, knowing that resources have to be spent. But money only gravitates to good ideas. So what do we need to do in our area so that we attract some of that money? Are there schools in our area? Government has to build schools. So certainly we need to pitch and say, let's put a school in our area. But it doesn't begin with the massive big school. It begins with a career development center in Mbare. I haven't heard of one. That attracts money. So you are a financial player in that regard. You are a financial player also in the regard that when we say government is going to spend 50 billion in education, what's that? It's schools, it's teachers, it's education. For who? For you guys. What's your say in all that? It must make you see, the relevance of it is that it must make you have a say. It must make you begin to say, what can I do? Otherwise, it remains this very abstract thing that doesn't concern you. But I'm glad you just said we have councillors here, junior councillors, junior parliamentarians, and stuff like that. These things are all so interlinked that when you open the TSP document, begin to think, where do I come in? That's financial inclusion. We are spending. Do I have a say here? Can I have a say here? Or I need to go and knock at this door, whether it's the ministry door, whether it's the RBZ door, and say, what's going on? But again, at a very personal level, just to highlight, in terms of financial inclusion, you guys are spenders. You guys spend money. You must begin at this level to even think beyond, oh, mom, dad, I need $20 today for pocket money. Oh, things have gone up. I can't buy what I used to buy last week with the same $20. What's going on? That's where issues, interest become important to you. Exchange rate becomes important to you. When I was growing up, when I was much younger than you guys, the most proud to be thing was to get a bank book. POSB then, I think it was the only bank. Whether there was money in there or not, whether there was $10, you'll stay for a whole 10 years with that $10 and it will be a sense of pride. But I think you guys need to go beyond that. If you get $500 today, you are told there's inflation in our country. What does it mean to your $500? You must be as concerned as your parents are in terms of what happens to your $500. So what do? Do we buy cryptocurrency? You need to make yourself very, very comfortable with those kind of conversations.
See, here's my problem, because we talk about the inclusion of young people, but when we read the TSP and the jargon that's in there, did it consider young people? Like, I know you do a lot of research around these issues. Can a young parliamentarian pick them up? Does it speak to them? Does it represent anything that the young people can connect to? Because I don't think there was stakeholder engagement to them, unless I'm wrong. Did anyone here, before they saw the TSP, did anyone see members from the ministry at your school? Did anyone get that sort of interaction prior to the TSP being launched? So my question now is, how then does that document become relevant and something that they can comment to if, number one, there was no pre-stakeholder engagement and they're junior parliamentarians, junior councillors?
Good question. But I think this question must be directed to these guys.
Yeah.
The leaders of today and the leaders of tomorrow. Were you consulted? Are you understanding what TSP is? Does it make a lot of sense to you? Is it relevant? If it is not, before we conclude this expo, this 3 days engagement, you guys put up a paper and say, we are told TSP is ending next year.
Right.
And we have no idea where it's coming from and where it's going. This is what leadership is about. It must be relevant. In other words, your thinking, the framing of your mind should be always about questioning. Why? How? Where? Those things, each time you're given a document, whether at government level or any other level for that matter, the question should be, how does it affect me? It's not about some 3, 4, 5, 25 guys sitting in a committee room deciding that we need to put so much money somewhere. It's about you guys saying, no, for all you know, what's most important for us right now is our hairstyles. I may not understand that, so make us understand that. Make us understand how there's a connection between thinking well and your hairstyle, because it may be the thing. The connection is important, and the connection only comes from thinking about how it affects us. I come from a peace background. That's the work I do. We do peace numerics. We measure peace. And you're like, how do you measure peace? Yes, we measure peace. We are able to say, oh, you are left with 2% peace. Tomorrow it will be finished. You're going to get into war. That's literally what I do. But then you will laugh and say, how do you measure peace? That's what and how you should deal with all these issues. I've always said, there's something called positive peace and there's something called negative peace. One of the most important pillars for positive peace is good governance. And you say, good governance? How does that affect us? Good governance? Local council. How many councillors do we have here? Junior councillors. Junior councillors. The garbage guy. Harare City Council, the garbage guy. Majoda Mabini. Huh? You'll be like, what? But yes. How so? If me and him, we are neighbors. Garbage is not picked up after 2 months, after 3 months, it begins to pile up in my yard. Do you know what I'll do? In the middle of the night, I will throw it into his yard. And if I throw it into his yard, he wakes up in the morning, he's like, no, I eat well, I don't eat pizza. This must be Mr. Mamombe. That's what you smart guys are going to do. Because me and him will start fighting. You will come in, you will call in conflict mediators. You will call in negotiators to come and mediate us. But no, it's the garbage guy. If the garbage guy had done his job, me and him would have fought. So when we're talking about peace, who should we bring in the house? The garbage guy. Did you say peace and the garbage man? Yes, peace and the garbage man. And the same applies with this financial inclusion. I told you whenever there is a need, there is money talk. Whenever there is money talk, ideas. With all due respect, so many things have to be built. Some of the things you guys can build. And I know you're thinking, oh, maybe a big mausoleum, or maybe a big this, or something like that. And up, councillors, parliamentarians, one of the key things that even the president of this country keeps talking about is corruption. And corruption is not just at government level, just at private level. There's corruption in the schools. And if I was one of you, instead of spending the whole day, I don't know what you guys do with those phones, those gadgets. Design a little app for us that says, do you know that this teacher here sells chalk? That's corruption. Design a corruption app. That's what gravitates money. Money will come your way when you come one day and say, you know, I have an app that adds everyone when food is not okay. We don't have to demonstrate. We just need to listen. The thoughts, as you can see, my mind, my brain is not as clean and fresh as yours. But that's where you're supposed to be putting your minds. So the issue of financial inclusion, the issue of literacy is important in that regard, in that it's about food, it's about sadza, it's about meat, it's about breakfast, it's about transport, it's about Zoop 50 cents. That's financial inclusion. And you guys wanting to be in that Zupco, which is now 50 cents, and the Combi, which is $3. What does that mean? What does it mean? What does it mean to you? That's financial inclusion. It means you go home, mom and dad, you know what? Austerity measures. I'm going to give you $2. So you got into Zupco. I'm going to give you $10. Financial inclusion. Then you should be able to say, Mom, these are the advantages of Zupco. And these are the gross disadvantages of Zupco. And this is what it means. Anyway, I need to begin to save. Anyway, I need to begin to make money. Guys, let's open up a tuck shop. Who runs the tuck shops in your schools? Who runs them? When are you going to learn to be astute business people? When you're my age? Too late. Things don't sink easily here because I think this way. But for you guys, run the tuck shops at your school. Who's saying? Who said they must be run by the teachers 1, 2, 3? Ask for $50 from your parents, $100 from your parents, $500 from your parents. You are a 5% shareholder. He's 10. He's 20. Now you begin to understand what shareholding structures mean. You will read about shareholding because it's relevant to what you are doing. That's financial inclusion. So the question and the thing that's important is why? Where? TSP, why? Does it concern me? Don't be like, I'm told of a story. Some old grandmother had no teeth, walks into church, and is told, and here's the message of the pastor, there shall be gnashing of teeth. Doesn't concern us. It concerns you because you're going to be given teeth in heaven. So that if you don't have, you will be given those to gnash.
So, how many of, if I was to open up, who's the junior parliamentarian? If I was to, that's easy, right? So if I was to challenge you to say, let's create a paper that we will submit to NANGO or for some other reason, and when, I know my friends from the Institute of Africa Works, there's something called Global Entrepreneurship Week that they really do. So look for Global Entrepreneurship Week, what it is, and then look up the Institute of Africa Works, because they are keen on doing something along those lines. And if I was to task you to say, let's write a paper that after this conference, over and above as implementing partner, we then say the parliamentarians and the council, then you guys all append your signatures. This is what they think. Would you be able to coordinate that? Do you guys trust him to coordinate that? All right, so because make sure you see me after this, and then we'll discuss the modalities. But he told me something very interesting, which is the garbage. I was like, actually, the garbage guy actually has a huge role in terms of maintaining peace. And I saw the economic aspect of it. Did you guys see that connection? I know it was a general example, but it then led me to think, Kuti, yes, we're talking about TSP, we're talking about the economics, but how does the economics of the land affect the peaceful coexistence in depth now? Before you, as you're answering that, I want you to tell us what your institute does, right? And then I want you then to connect what the economics and how that affects the social.
Wow.
Kuti, as I'm sitting at home, many of them are going to be mothers and fathers, many of them are going to be students, their children. How does that affect their peace at home, at work, in the universities they are going to go, but yet we are talking about money. So how does the economy and the economics of affect their peacefulness after you've told us what the institute does?
Wow. Good question. Very difficult. Last part is very difficult. The Institute for Economics and Peace does two things. We do peace, in other words, we do peace numerics, and we also design conceptual frameworks. In other words, we are a global think tank. We design ways of seeing things, so that you begin to see things much more clearer and better. Right, peace and economics. There is a fundamental, very, very intricate and serious relationship between peace and economics, peace and money. For starters, if there were gunshots out there, none of you guys will be here in that Mazoe or buying a Coca-Cola or getting into a Kombi or getting into a Zupco. So peace and economics have a very serious relationship. But it goes even further. There is an intricate relationship between peace and interest rates, between peace and foreign direct investment, between peace and exchange rates. And these things matter. If we are not a peaceful country, no one will come and invest here. And if no one invests here, no jobs. And if there are no jobs, you guys are going to begin to scream at each other. But if it ends there, that's okay. The next thing, you're going to be on top of each other and killing each other for the little resources that are there, because you are jobless. You are jobless because there's no FDI. There's no FDI because the environment is bad. The environment is bad because there's no peace. So what do we do at the IEP? At the IEP, one of our most important works is what you call positive peace. Positive peace, like there's negative peace. Have you guys heard about negative peace and positive peace? Okay, if I ask you ordinarily, what is peace? What is peace? It's what? Wow, beautiful. I didn't expect that from you. That's too good. Someone else tell me what peace is. What is peace? If I ask you what peace is, you're going to tell me it's when there is no war, when there is no fighting, when there is no killing each other, when there is no beating each other. In other words, if you look carefully, you are saying when there is no something, when there is no something, when there is no fighting, when there is no war, when there is no chaos. That's why we call it negative peace. So every day when you guys talking about peace, you're talking about negative peace. You're saying people can be fighting, doing this and stuff like that. But what is positive peace? It's not just about the absence of something. What is it the presence of? Right. You guys are studying. If you want to study light, do you know what you do? Properties of light. You look at light and you study the properties of light. You don't need to wait for it to be dark so that you understand darkness for you to appreciate the properties of light. When you want to study light, you study its properties, not darkness. So if you want to study peace, you study its properties, not what it is not. Yeah? So what is peace? I told you the garbage man is peace. Yeah? We have designed what you call the 8 pillars of peace. Number 1, effective governance, and I talked about the garbage guy. Number 2, a sound business environment. A sound business environment, no money comes in. No money comes in, people fight, demonstrations, turn violent, and so on. Number 3, of corruption. What does corruption do? Corruption says, let's build a school here, and one big fat guy takes all the money away, and they build a little tiny little small school. And people, low levels of corruption are an important pillar of peace. Number 3, equitable distribution of resources. The TSP talks about devolution. Why? So that there is money here in Mashonaland, money in Matabeleland, equally distributed. That is very important. Equitable distribution of resources. Girls get enough fair opportunities. Boys get fair opportunities. There must be equitable distribution of resources in the interest of peace. So equitable distribution of resources is an important pillar of peace. If you look at these pillars, they are what you would call silos, stockpiles. Put better in Shona, matura, or in Ndebele, is pala. Matura erunyarara. If you ask me, because we measure peace, I know you'd want to say, where is Zimbabwe? What number is Zimbabwe? We're not doing too well, especially on the positive peace index. was his pala zomumbu. Ulezi pala zokuthula. Peace is not an accident. You just wake up one morning and, oh, country. We don't wake up one morning and, oh, we're a violent country. Peace is invested in. The things that we are doing today at government level, at school level, at every level, have a bearing on the peace we are going to have tomorrow. We didn't just wake up today and we're like, oh, it's a peaceful country. Investments were made 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 39 years ago. And investments must be made. Education is an important pillar. Why? If you don't get a proper education or an education, you're going to be a school dropout. If you drop out of school, you're going to be unemployed and unemployable. And if you're unemployable and unemployed, you're going to be very angry. And if you're very angry, you're going to look for a knob carry. And if you get a knob carry, you're going to beat someone for his money. And we are going to be the least ranking country in terms of peace. See how it's linked? Education is important for peace. Because if you're not educated, you're going to be the worst person in our society. Because you will be having zero options. And if you have zero options, you will go around raising little money so that you buy a gun. Goodness sake. And when you buy a gun, you want to shoot someone and take away their investments. So education must be done well so that there is peace in 5 years. Can you imagine if just this whole classroom here dropped out of school today and did absolutely nothing except hang around the streets of Harare? 5 years' time, 10 years' time, oh my goodness, you won't like these beautiful ladies and that handsome gentlemen. You won't like them. They'll be having scars here that say we are angry, we are not educated, and for this place is not going to be governable. So education is critical for peace. But education, again, to money. If your parents can't take you to school, it comes back to the same. You're going to be angry with everyone because your parents couldn't take you to school. And first, you're going to butcher your parents because you're going to blame them. And after that, you're going to butcher the government because you're going to blame them. Governless, peaceful-less country. So it's a very intricate relationship. The economy. And the economy is the food we eat, the water we drink. It's nothing more than that. It's the zupko we get a ride in. So there is a very, very direct correlationship between these things. And I want you guys to walk away from this place, not with the whole complicated perception of things about how does 200 billion go into the education sector? How does, no. It's simple. Someone say that. It's simple. It affects you. If you're going to have lunch today, begin to say, what was going to happen if I did not have lunch? Or if the whole cohort here did not have lunch, you're going to be angry. And we're going to have demonstrating out there. Riot police wouldn't care less that you are kids if you're going to be bashing windows. Bash you up too. So these things are definitely intricately related. I hope that answers that.
Yeah, and the more you talk, the more I'm interested in what you do. And how can the students in this, in terms of internships, in terms of scholarships, in terms of post-engagement after high school, during the holiday, how can they, if there's any aspect of the work that you do with regards to, if it's the economics or the peace, how is it in terms of their future of work, currently, short-term, medium-term, long-term, how can they connect with the institute? And we don't want glorified maids. That's not, this is not what we are looking for.
Studies is science. But at the IEP, if you check in the website of the IEP, we offer serious training for everyone. And guess what? After that 4-hour training program, you become what we call an IEP ambassador. Our flagship is called the Global Peace Index, which is a ranking of countries' peacefulness. You become a GPI or an IEP peace ambassador. An IEP peace ambassador does these things. It doesn't matter where you take him or her. If you take him to the garbage guys, like I said, he will be able to put and relate how what it is that they do relates and has a bearing to peace. You understand that? You go to the doctors, you will be able to demonstrate to them that they are being doctors or lack of same has a bearing on the peace of a country. You go to the police, you go to who, if the garbage man can be a peace builder, anyone peace builder. But better put, all work, teaching, sweeping, all work is peace work. That is why the late former vice president put it well. He said, peace begins with me, peace begins with you, peace begins with all of us. Everywhere is peace work. The IEP has designed an interactive program. You guys should understand this language better. An interactive program where you go on the website and you can get a good training program that will equip you to be a peace person. A peace person is not a specialist in peace building. It is anyone who understands how what he is doing today with public speaking connect to peace and so forth. So get onto our website, and besides, we do take interns. And if you're interested in our work again, contact us, and we'll be happy to say, hey, you look excited about peace work, you understand all work is peace work, come and join us over the holidays and learn a few things, go around with me, and let's talk about peace and make this country an even more peaceful place.
Okay, very much. I assume I've opened up enough channels, but we are not going to take questions because it's almost lunch. I knew it. But thank you so much, Mr. Mamombe. We appreciate your time. We appreciate what I hope we're going to do is actually engage from Mrs. Mkono Shuro to the RBZ, think and say, how can we engage these people in the various projects you guys do as counselors, right? And then don't just come to my inbox and say, put something together, something coherent through your patrons or whoever, and then we can share at our various meetings where we come, so that way it's not just one person who gets an internship. So it's not just one person who gets invited to a function, but it's open to everyone, and as many people who are interested can benefit. I hope that makes sense, right? So thank you, Mr. Mamombe, and we'll hand back over to the MC to round up the program. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
It has been noted that accountability goes beyond the responsibility of delivery of a task or a service. It also means being answerable.
Thank you so much, Chairperson. We really appreciate.
On behalf of the United Nations Development Program, I'm pleased to be here this evening to join in this important event.
I understand that it is an annual event aimed at providing space for NGOs to showcase their initiatives through exhibition and sharing of knowledge and best practices.